ಹಲೋ ಡಿಯರ್, ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUCಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ 4 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಲಿಂಕರ್ಸ್. ಇದು ತುಂಬಾ ತಲೆನೋವು ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಅಂತ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕೇವಲ 4 ಲೆಸನ್ಸ್ಲಿಂದ ಇವುಗಳನ್ನು ಪಿಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಆ 4 ಲೆಸನ್ಸ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಪಿಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಕಂಪೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. 25 ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಏನು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ರೂ ಯಾವುದು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾನಂತೂ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ. 5 ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. 4 ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಯಾವುದು ಬರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. ಆದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ನೋಡಿರಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಚಾನಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನೇ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿ. ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆ ಲೈನ್ಗಳ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಲಿಂಕರ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್. ಮತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಂದೇಹ ಬೇಡ, ಈ 25ರಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿರಿ. ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 4 ಬಂದೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಚಾನಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋಸು ಇದೆ. ಬರೀ ಒಂದು ನೋಡಿ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡೋದಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕೂಡ ನೋಡಿ. ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಈ ವರ್ಷ ನೀವು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಹಾಗೇನೇ ಚಾನಲ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಈ ಚಾನಲ್ನ ಓಪನ್ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣವೇ ಫೋಟೋ ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲೇಲಿಸ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಪ್ಲೇಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ 2 ಸಿಗ್ತವೆ. ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC ಲೆಸನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗ್ರಾಮರ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದಿದೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ. ಈ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ನೀವು. ಓಕೆ, ಬನ್ನಿ ಈಗ ನೋಡೋಣ.
In a book, in every book, there is a need for something more, which is always mysterious. When we read an ancient book, it is as though we were reading all time that has passed from past to the present. When we read an ancient book, it is as though we were reading all time that has passed from past to present. A book can be full of errors. We can reject its author's opinion, disagree with him or her, but the book always retains something sacred, something magical, which brings happiness. When poetic act takes place, it seems to me that we become aware of it. Poetry is magical, mysterious, and unexplainable, although not incomprehensible event. If one doesn't feel the poetic event upon reading it, the poet has failed. Yes, certainly, I believe that metaphors, if they are truly metaphors, exist from the beginning of time, but we express them differently. I have occasionally thought of reducing all metaphors to 5 or 6, which seem to me to be the essential metaphors. Zamila Bibi, who has taken to cycling, told me, "It is my right. Now I don't have to wait for a bus." I know people made dirty remarks when I started cycling, but I paid no attention. Fatima is a secondary school teacher so addicted to cycling that she hires a bicycle for half an hour. Believe me, women had to put up with vicious attacks on their character when this began. So many made filthy remarks, but Arivoli gave cycling a social sanction. So women took to it. Though Kannamal was a science graduate. She had never mustered the courage to cycle earlier. There is not only a desire to learn, but a widespread perception among them that all women ought to learn cycling. In turn, their experience has enriched the literacy movement. The neo cyclists are bound even more passionately than before to Arivoli. The culture that has arisen from the forest has been influenced by the diverse processes of renewal of life, which are at play in the forest, varying from species to species, from season to season, in sight and sound and smell. The unifying principle of life in diversity, of democratic pluralism, thus became the principle of Indian civilization. Know all that moves in this moving world as enveloped by God, and find enjoyment through renunciation, not through greed of possession. I started saving seeds from farmers' fields and then realized that we needed a farm for demonstration and training. Thus, Navdanya Farm was started in 1994. There was a perceptible change in the lifestyle of the owner. The plantation expanded, but the owner became lethargic and shied away from hard work. His wife found it hard to decide whether the old man's arrival was for the better or for the worse. Their farm, which was merely 10 acres, had grown beyond their imagination. That was fine, but their life was gradually getting out of hand. When she was in a fix like this, one day the old man met her and behaved as though he knew all about her plight. After proceeding this far, the old man started fumbling for words as though he had committed a mistake. She felt like going away. However, unwilling to hurt the old man, she continued to sit there quietly. The old man went on. No, his name was not Sangoji, it was Pasavaya. To begin with, all this looked like healthy competition. However, gradually it rose to such a pitch that there was no land left in the village for them to buy. All land belonged to either Tamanna or Basavaya. Basavaya shrunk in humiliation. Nevertheless, he started filling his life with all kinds of material wealth. But his house looked dull and empty because Tamanna's books were not there. However, by this time Tamanna had thought of yet another method of punishing Basavaya. That was death. If he continued at the body level, Basavaya would go on offering a stiff competition. But if his song was separated from his body, if there was no relation between the songs and his own flesh and blood, man needs wealth, education, art, and many more things. And yet, he lives for some kind of unbearable vengefulness. Without it, there would be no reason for his existence. This is not a real story, only what I have heard somewhere. You may know that I subscribe to a daily. I thought my death alone could destroy Basavaya. I gave up everything and started off. My name is Tamanna. After Basavaya's death, I forgot all my songs. I, who was once famous, became a non entity. Thus, I avenged myself. My mother was an extraordinary person. I should speak, above all, of her kindness towards me. I feel somewhat guilty for not having been a happy man in order to have given her a deserved happiness. I feel guilty. Perhaps I should have been more understanding of her, but I do not know. I suppose that it is true of all children that when our mother dies, we feel that we have taken her for granted, as we do with moon or the sun or the seasons. All things have been given to us for a purpose, and an artist must feel this more intensely. All that happens to us, including humiliations, our misfortunes, our embarrassments, all is given to us as a raw material, as clay, so that we may shape our art. A verse of Goethe comes to my mind. All that is near becomes far. Goethe refers not only to the sunset but also to life. All things leave us. In my case, the visible world has moved away from my eyes, but fortunately, it has been replaced by other things. My duty is to accept and to enjoy those things. Dear me, I have not thought of writing such a book, but it is an excellent idea. I will keep it in my mind, although I do not know if an 83-year-old man can set such a project for himself. However, I remember that Spengler has written remarkable comments on books. The unifying principle of life in diversity, of democratic pluralism, thus became the principle of Indian civilization. It is the unity in diversity that is the basis of both ecological sustainability and democracy. These would be the essential metaphors which are found in all literatures. And then there are others that are whimsical. I believe that the poet's task is to discover metaphors even though they may already exist.